Right, today I've come to Welford Park to see its magnificent snowdrops. So some of you may recognise Welford Park as the location of the Great British Bake Off. It's been here since the show started and it takes place in the grounds of the estate. Welford Park started as an abbey attached to the abbey at Abingdon. But then our great friend Henry VIII came along, dissolved the abbeys and monasteries, and the space became his private hunting lodge. After about 100 years of royal ownership, it was sold to a new owner who established it as his primary residence, and they had a relatively standard large country estate sort of history. You know, occasionally the family would die out and it would go to another family, and occasionally they ran out of money and had to tenant something off. But it is still in private hands today, and the house is open only for one period of the year, which is the month of February, so that everyone can come and see their fantastic snowdrop garden. Now, runs of snowdrops like these, where they're bordering a path, are relatively common in country homes, but I have never seen one that has anything on the beech forest here at Welford Park. These are the most snowdrops I have ever seen in one place. So snowdrops are a very common garden plant here in the UK, and they usually grow in little clumps like this one. And I have never seen them grow in a huge field like this. This is a beech forest, which is very good for forest flowers, and these snowdrops have really taken off. They are cultivated deliberately by the head gardener here at Welford Park, but even so, I'm used to seeing bluebells do this, but never snowdrops. It's quite incredible. Beech woods are ideal for this kind of wildflower because beech leaves last on the ground for a very long time, creating a clear open space for the flowers to grow in, whereas in more densely packed forest this would all be undergrowth and bushes and trees trying to grow into big trees and that sort of thing. This is the River Lambourne that comes off the chalk hills of the Downs and goes down into the Kennet River near Newbury and then on to the Thames at Reading. It is a tragedy that this house can't be enjoyed by the public in the summer, as the garden is meticulously maintained and has many, many beautiful trees in it. And this is a look at Welford Park House. It is, to my eye, a relatively standard house for the period with no particularly interesting features. But it is quite pretty. But there's nothing of historical significance that I am aware of. And behind it you can see the tower of Welford Church, which we'll go and have a little look at. This is Welford Church, and behind it is Welford House. Welford Church is fascinating because it's one of the only round tower churches in England. There are a handful, possibly only a dozen churches in England with a round tower. The church has its history going all the way back to the Anglo-Saxon period, but this particular building is on Norman foundations with later medieval building. And it's a wonderful example as well of flint work, which you'll be able to see when we get a bit closer. There is huge quantities of flint involved in its construction, and it is a beautiful facing. And here we can see the beautiful flint construction. It's always lovely to see a church, in my opinion, with a flint cladding. There's just something about them that's fun and nice. So an interesting feature of this church is its very small windows compared to later medieval churches. They were still learning how to let in large quantities of light, and so this does create a very atmospheric church.